Greetings, I am Mr. Grimreaper 512 with Dark 9987 back with me again, and welcome to another edition of Rip from the Silverscreen. Tonight, we're going to take a look at the 1982 horror film classic, Creepshow. This film was directed by the late George A. Romero. This film also was written by the legendary Stephen King. This film stars Hal Holbrook, Adrienne Barbeau, Fritz Weaver, the late Leslie Nielsen, Carrie Nye, E.G. Marshall, and Vivica Lynn-Force. And this film is another anthology film. And we're gonna go through the I think there was. Looks like there was more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's like 7 stories here. Well, actually, no, there's 6 stories, and then there's an epilogue after that. Okay. All right, so we're gonna go through the stories. We're gonna go through the 6 stories and talk about each of. We're gonna talk about the whole film, not just the stories, but the whole film itself. We're gonna start first with the prologue to the film. Okay, so this movie starts with the prologue. A young boy named Billy gets yelled at and slapped by his father Stan for reading a horror comic titled Creepshow. Stan reminds his wife that he had to be hard on Billy because he does not want their son to be reading such crap. First of all, fuck you. Creepshow is fucking good. Fuck you. As Billy sits upstairs cursing his father with hopes of rotting him and of him rotting in hell. Good job. He hears a sound at the window which turns out to be a ghostly apparition in the form of the Creep from the comic book, beckoning him to come closer. Thus we go into the first story. The first story, Father's Day, is an original story by King written for the film. Nathan Grantham, the miserably old patriarch of a family whose fortune was made through bootlegging, fraud, extortion, and murder for hire, is killed on Father's Day by his long-suffering spinster daughter, Bedelia. Bedelia was already unstable as a result of a lifetime spent putting up with her father's incessant demands and emotional abuse. Ooh, the son of a bitch was committing incest. What the fuck? Which culminated in his orchestrating the murder of her sweetheart Peter. The sequence begins in 1979 when the remainder of Nathan's descendants, including Nathan's granddaughter Sylvia, his great-grandchildren Richard, Cass, and Cass's husband Hank, get together for their annual dinner on the third Sunday in June. Bedelia, who typically arrives later than others, stops in a cemetery outside the family house to lay flowers at the gravesite and drunkenly reminisce about how she murdered her insufferable, overbearing father. That is very harsh. But I get it. I get it because he's a scumbag anyway. When she accidentally spills her whiskey bottle in front of the headstone, it seems to have a reanimating effect on the mortal remains interred below. Suddenly, Nathan's putrefied, maggot-infested corpse emerges from a burial plot in the form of a revenant who has come back to claim the Father's Day cake he never got. Grantham slowly avenges himself on Bedelia and the rest of his idle, scheming, money-grubbing heirs, killing them off one by one, which includes some apparent supernatural abilities such as making a heavy tombstone move by will, before finally attaining his Father's Day cake topped with Sylvia's severed head. Damn. While the ending is left ambiguous in the film, with Nathan gloating over a terrified Cass and Richard in freeze frame, the comic book based on the film gives a vague hint that Nathan's next act was to blow out their candles. Okay. Alright, so we go to the next story, The Lonesome Death of Jody Verrill. Based on the short story Weeds, Jody Verrill, played by King himself, A dim-witted backwoods yokel thinks that a newly discovered meteorite will provide enough money from the local college to pay off his $200 bank loan. As the meteorite is too hot to touch, he douses it with water, causing it to crack open and spew a glowing blue substance that comes into contact with the skin. Then finds himself being overcome by rapidly spreading plant-like organisms that begins growing on his body. As the weeds start to grow in the house and everything Jordy has touched, Jordy pours himself a bottle of vodka, falls asleep, and wakes up moments later only to find that it was not a dream, that he has now grown a beard of weeds. Okay? As Jordy starts to take a bath, he is cautioned by the ghost of his father that the parasite wants water and to not get in the tub. But when itching from the growth on his skin becomes unbearable, Jordy succumbs to temptation and collapses in the bathwater. By the next morning, Jordy and his farm have completely covered with dense layers of hideous alien vegetation. In despair, he reaches for a shotgun and blows the top of his head off, thus killing himself. A radio weather forecast announces that the heavy rains are predicted, and the audience is left with the dire expectation that this will accelerate the spread of the extraterrestrial plant growth to surrounding areas. Damn. Alright, so go now to the next story. Richard Vickers, a vicious, wealthy psychopath whose spry jocularity belies his cold-blooded murderousness, stages a terrible fate for his unfaithful wife Becky and her lover Harry Wentworth by separately luring them out to his secluded beach property and then at gunpoint burying them up to their necks below the high tide line. He explains that they have a chance of survival if they can hold their breath long enough for the sand to loosen once the seawater covers them. They could break free and escape. Vickers sets up closed circuit TV cameras so he can watch them die from the comfort of his well-appointed beach house. What a sick bastard.
Yep.
However, Richard is in for a surprise of his own when the two lovers he murdered return as a pair of waterlogged seaweed-covered revenants intent on revenge. He tries to shoot them, but they remind him you can't shoot us dead, Richard, because we're already dead. No shit. The final scene reveals that Richard is now the one buried on the beach, facing the approaching tide and the sight of two sets of footprints disappearing into the surf. While the tide is rising, he laughs hysterically, his sanity shattered by the experience. Screams, "I can hold my breath for a long time." The frame freezes into animation and flipping the comic pages stop on the title of the next story. The Crate. Based on the short story The Crate, a college janitor, Mike, drops a quarter and finds a wooden storage crate marked Arctic Expedition, June 19, 1834. There we go. Hidden under the staircase. He notifies Dr. Stanley, a college professor of the find. The two decide to open this crate, and it is found to contain a multi-fanged ape-like creature, which, despite its diminutive size, promptly kills and entirely devours Mike. Jesus. Leaving behind only his boot. Escaping, Stanley runs into a graduate student, Charlie Garrison, who is skeptical and investigate. The crate has been moved back under the stairs, and Garrison is killed by the creature as he examines the crate. Stanley flees to inform his friend and colleague at the university, the mild-mannered Professor Henry Northrop. Stanley, now traumatized and hysterical, babbles to Northrop that the deadly monster must be disposed of somehow. Northrop sees the creature as a way to rid himself of perpetually drunk, obnoxious, and emotionally abusive wife, Wilma, whom he often daydreams of killing. Damn, this movie's so damn harsh. I forgot how harsh this movie was. He contrives a scheme to lure her near the crate where the beast does indeed maul and eat her. Northrop secures the beast back inside its crate, then drops it into a nearby lake. Where it sinks to the bottom, he returns to assure Stanley that the creature is no more. However, it is subsequently revealed to the audience that the beast has escaped from its crate. Then we come down to the final story. The final fucking story. The one where, when I was a kid watching it, it made me shit bricks. Because of what you will find in this goddamn story.
Yeah.
They're creeping up on you.
Oh, gosh.
Upson Pratt is a cruel, ruthless businessman whose misophobia has him living in a hermetically sealed apartment controlled completely with both electric locks and surveillance cameras. During a particularly severe lightning storm, he finds himself looking out over the concrete canyons of New York City. As a rolling blackout travels his way, when it hits his apartment tower, the terror begins for Mr. Pratt, who now finds himself helpless when his flat becomes overrun by a horde of cockroaches. Oh, God. As the situation rapidly becomes worse, he locks himself inside a panic room, only to find the cockroaches have already infested the room as well.
Oh,
With no way to escape, he is swarmed upon by the roaches, which induced a fatal heart attack. Later, as electricity returns to the building, Pratt's corpse is shown in the panic room, now devoid of roaches. However, Pratt's body soon begins to contort as roaches grotesquely burst out of his mouth and body, re-enveloping the panic room. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Okay, the epilogue. The following morning, two garbage collectors find the Creepshow comic in the trash. They look at the ad in the book for X-ray specs and a Charles Atlas bodybuilding course. They also see an advertisement for a voodoo doll, but limit that the order form has already been redeemed. Inside the house, Stan complains of neck pain, which escalates and becomes deadly as Billy repeatedly and gleefully jabs the voodoo doll as he finally gets revenge on his father for his past abuse. And that is Creepshow.
Yes.
Oh my God, how can we fucking explain this shit to you? Jesus H. Christ. Well, the stories were funny as shit. At least people got revenge for. At least people got their revenge for some of the shit that happened. I forgot how fucking. I had almost forgotten how freaking harsh this movie really was.
Yep.
And oh my God, that last. I cannot watch this. I cannot watch that last story because it is scary as hell. I hate. I'm gonna tell you something about myself. If I see a roach, I'm killing it. If I see a spider, I'm killing it. If I see a cricket, I'm killing it. If I see any insect whatsoever, ladybug, it doesn't matter. I'm killing it. But oh my God, when you got thousands and thousands and thousands of roaches coming into your house and just devoiding, just oh my God, I can't look at that scene when he dies of a heart attack and stuff like that, and those goddamn roaches are coming out of his body and all that. I cannot look at all. That is deeply horrifying. And this movie, for some strange reason, got a bunch of hate. I have no idea why. Because this movie was really good.
Yeah.
It is very harsh. It's very harsh. Especially at the beginning of the movie when the father just beats the hell out of his own son. His son finally gets payback at the end of the film by jamming it by what did it say here? By jabbing a voodoo doll and stuff like that. So, but yeah, what did you think of the movies? What did you when you watched it, dude? What did you think of the movie? When you had watched it.
The part with the cockroaches, that I did not like that part at all. I'm with you on that boat. But the stories are there, like I said. I remember when I first watched Creepshow, they did, scare me a bit, but I realized it wasn't so bad after that. But yeah, it was a good movie nonetheless, and yeah, I mean, really, yeah, like I said, just anytime you see bugs, just kill it. That's what I would do. And yeah, so this is a good movie. I don't understand all the negative about it, but I think this was a good movie. I enjoyed it myself, and that's just our opinion on it. I know a lot of you may have different opinions on it, but hey, that's okay. But I thought it was a good movie. Me watching it, and I actually have it, so yeah, I will say that I think this movie is really good, and it's one of a kind. So.
Yeah, so apparently, according to this, many of the apparent insects that were involved in that were actually nuts and raisins, as specified by Tom Savini. But yeah, even still, no. I will never watch that. That's the only story I will never watch. I can watch all the other ones real good. I can watch all the other ones that were involved with this. Sorry. But anyway, yeah, I could watch all the other stories, but the last story for Creepshow, I can't watch it. I can't watch it at all without being scared, without being frightened, because having maybe 3 or 4 roaches in your house, that's not as bad, because you can kill them. Having 1,000 roaches in your house, all at the same damn time, coming after you and shit? No, fuck that. Sorry. The one that I liked the most, I think the one out of the 6, the one I liked the most was the one with Leslie Nielsen. When he played that vicious, that psychotic son of a bitch, Richard Vickers, I think that's his name.
Yeah.
That shit was funny as shit. He played it. Usually, you would see Leslie Nielsen in like really, really dark, really funny ass comedies and stuff like that. Like when he played Dracula in Dead and Loving It, and Dracula Dead and Loving It, he was funny as hell. This one, he played it dark. He played this character really dark. He actually showed us what a fucking psychopath is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I even though I'm still scared of that last story, Creepshow to me is still a classic, and I enjoy it a lot. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I agree with you. I enjoyed it myself. Normally he's a funny kind of guy. If you don't look at funny comedy, you think it's gone. Yeah, Dead Loving It. Those are the funny things that we normally see. For him to play a crazy guy like this in this one, well, yeah, that takes the cake. But all in all, yeah, Creepshow was a good movie. I liked it, and if you guys, want to see for yourselves, check it out. You be the judge.
Oh yeah. And I think we both agree. On the rating. This film gets a huge 10 out of 10.
Yep.
Yes, it does. Yes, you got him right. It does. This film is terrifying. This film is horrifying. This film has some really harsh moments involved in it. But it's still a really good horror anthology. Both me and Dark Knight like it a lot. It's just that when I watch this, I just have to fast forward through the last story, because I can't watch it by myself. because that's just terrifying. The fucking roaches, thousands of roaches coming on your body, and just God, man, that's just it. The guy's a hermit, but he's a complete cruel bastard. I'm glad he got it in the end, but what I'm not happy is that how he died. I don't know. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't like that either. I mean, the fact that he was a no good son of a bitch on the French, but fact that he did get what he deserved. But yeah, the whole thing with the roaches, yeah, that's not, doesn't sweeten the pot with me either, to tell you. Yeah, I can't stand that. I mean, I try to sit through, but sometimes I can't. I agree with you. I fast forward, or sometimes I skip it, and like, no, what happened to you? You know? Yeah,
because it's very terrifying to that thousands and thousands of roaches on you. That's just not good. Not in the least. No. But let us know in the comment section down below what y'all guys think. Do you all guys like Creepshow? Do you think that Creepshow is a really good movie? Are you one of those people that think that it just fucking sucks? Let us know in the comments down below. That's going to be it for right now. We got a couple more reviews, and I'm going to give you guys some reactions. And that'll be the end of it for me for today. But yeah, until next time, I'm Mr. Grimreaper 2. He's Dark997, and we'll see you all in the afterlife. Peace.